say to you, this is Todd. I'm a regular dude walking in the Word. I want to thank you for joining us as we are going through Leviticus. Right now we're in chapter 23 and we're concluding looking at the appointed festivals that were ordained by God. And really it's to help us to remember. It's to help the Jewish people to remember everything that God had done for them. Okay? We're concluding today with the Festival of Tabernacles. A tabernacle, and what they did here is they set up temporary shelters and lived in them for a week. And it was just to help them remember everything that God did for them as they came through the wilderness. All right, and so it's kind of like, it's almost like camping. Okay, you're living in a tent, but you did this, and when you did this for the week, everyone was living in the tents, not living in your house, but living in the tent. It helped you to remember, you know what, I'm living in this tent for a week, but these people are living in these tents for over 40 years, because it was just a temporary shelter, really, to get us from Egypt to the Promised Land. Once they got to the Promised Land, they weren't living in tents anymore. They built homes and so forth. So this was more of celebration of everything God had done for us. The festival yesterday was more somber, reflecting on the things that God had done for him. Today, we're concluding, and it's a celebration. So let's read here. This is taken from Leviticus chapter 23, verses 33 to 44. It says this: The Lord said to Moses, "Say to the Israelites, on the 15th day of the 7th month, the Lord's festival of tabernacle begins, and it lasts 7 days." So it lasts 7 days. It's in the 7th month, which is the same month as the Festival of the Trumpets and the Day of Atonement. And now we have the Day of Tabernacles. Okay, so you had the first 4 festivals that were beginning of the year. The 7th month here, now we have these last 3 festivals. The first day is a sacred assembly. Do no regular work. For 7 days present food offerings to the Lord. And on the 8th day, hold a sacred assembly and present a food offering to the Lord. It is the closing special assembly. Do no regular work. Okay, so you start out not working on the first day, and you do sacrifices throughout this time, and then on the last day you do a assembly also. Verse 37, These are the Lord's appointed festivals, which you are to proclaim as sacred assemblies for bringing food offerings to the Lord. The burnt offerings and the grain offerings, the sacrifices and drink offerings required for each day. These offerings are in addition to those for the Lord's Sabbath, and in addition to the gifts in whatever you have vowed, and all the free will offerings you give to the Lord. So remember, all these festivals, there were sacrifices given, okay? And he's saying here, this goes above and beyond just your regular sacrificial giving that you did. But these were festivals where, and all the festivals had this, sacrifices were given. Verse 39, So beginning with the 15th day of the 7th month, after you've gathered the crops of the land, celebrate the festival to the Lord for 7 days. The first day is on the Sabbath rest, and on the 8th day also is the day of Sabbath rest. On the first day you are to take branches from luxuriant trees, from palms, willows, and other leafy trees, and rejoice before the Lord your God for 7 days. Celebrate this as a festival to the Lord for 7 days each year. This is a lasting ordinance for the generations to come. Celebrate it in the 7th month. Live in temporary shelters for 7 days. Okay, live in temporary shelters. You didn't build a separate building and say, hey, I'm going to live in this for 7 days. No, these were temporary shelters for that time. A tent, really. Okay. All native-born Israelites are to live in these shelters. So your descendants will know that I had the Israelites live in temporary shelters when I brought them out of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. So Moses announced to the Israelites the appointed festivals of the Lord. Okay? So basically this festival was, you had the assembly on the first day, you had it on the last day, you didn't work on the first day, you didn't work on the last day, and in between that, you lived in a tent or a shelter. And it wasn't like the tent you go to REI and buy today. This was like you made up a tent and you got some sticks and branches and stuff and made this shelter so you could have a temporary place to stay. The point being, it's a temporary place to stay, all right? And because you were moving. And this is to help the people remember them being rescued out of Egypt, okay? So, and remember, Egypt, it represents the world, so this symbolizes them being saved from the world. As Christians, we're saved from the world, and Jesus has done that for us. And for Israel, they were saved from Egypt, and they're remembering how God saved them from Egypt and actually delivered them to the promised land, a much better land, and they could be independent there, okay? So as you see a picture of this, remember God saved us from our sin and the world, and then He has saved us, and He's actually taken us to heaven, promised land for us. Okay, so we conclude the festivals with this last one, a big celebration of what God has done. And again, these festivals were there to help us remember everything that God has done. Hey, thanks for walking with us as we go through Leviticus. We only have a few more chapters. We're starting chapter 24 next time, and there's only 27 chapters in Leviticus. So, thanks for watching. I'm just a regular dude walking in the Word, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we continue our journey through Leviticus. Lord's blessing. I'll see you then. Hey, good day to you. This is Todd. I am a regular dude walking